Hello friend, welcome back. If you haven't heard the good news, we have our own subreddit now. We're trying to direct story posts to there, but if you have a story that matches the topic of this video, please feel free to post it in the comments in the manner to which you are accustomed. D&D players, what was your funniest rolled a 1 moment? Just a heads up, this is a voiceover remake of one of our older text-to-speech videos, so if you see repeats, that would be why. Our orc was fighting a few guards on the stairs. I wanted to leap off his back and stab a guy at the bottom. The DM said if I rolled well, I could land it, so I got a natural 20. Then he had me roll for attack, and I got a natural 1. In true Jack Sparrow fashion, I leapt off this orc's back like a soaring eagle, and then face-planted right in front of the enemy. Another was that we couldn't figure out how to investigate this castle without being seen going inside. So the orc wants to throw the halfling like a football over the wall. He rolls a nat 20 to grapple him, and rolls a nat 1 to throw him. So he grabs him, rears back like Peyton Manning, and deadass pelts him into the stone wall of the castle like a rotten tomato. Not a game I played in, but watched live. Imagine a giant made of stone in plate armor, standing with his back to a corner. He was supposed to keep his eye out for assassins. All the while, he kept rolling 1s on his awareness checks, and 20s for his AC checks. Imagine, if you will, 10 assassins trying desperately to ping this guy with poison darts, only to have them all plink off his armor, and the dude just standing there, completely unaware of any of it going on. Was playing with my group of friends. 2 of us were stuck inside a ring of fire with a bunch of hostile goblins. One of the party members outside wanted to help us out, so he decided to jump above the fires to get to us, while doing a triple backflip in the air. So the DM tells him to roll 2 d20s. First roll is a nat 20, second roll is a nat 1. So he perfectly executes the triple backflip, but lands flat on his face, and then a goblin stabbed him in the butt with a sword. While attempting to infiltrate the lair of a necromancer, the party ran into some hired thugs guarding the back entrance. Attempting to be merciful, or hoping to question him, the party paladin attempted to knock out their leader by hitting him in the head with the pommel of his sword. He rolled a 1 on his attack, and ended up handing his sword to the thug instead. The rogue attempted to steal the paladin's sword back from the thug leader, but also rolled a 1, resulting in him getting slashed, and dropping his own sword. The thug attempted to impale the rogue, but also rolled a 1, and handed the paladin's sword to the rogue. The wizard had decided he had had enough of these shenanigans and covered the room in color spray, disorienting everyone, including the party, except the paladin. Now that everyone else was stunned, the paladin stole his sword back from the rogue and crit the thug for an instant kill. The party now has a running joke that if you want to crit, you need at least 3 people to touch your weapon. My personal favorite, even though I think I've told this one before. I'm a bard who's been arrested with the rest of my party. I use Mage Hand to try and lift the key off the guard's belt to bust out. I roll a 1. I grab the man's nethers. GM did not allow me to roll for pleasure. I was going to a royal wizard guy, despite the guards saying there was no wizard, even though my party saw him a while ago. I broke in successfully and made my way up to his tower, narrowly avoiding a guard and a trap in the process. Then, when I broke into his tower room, I decided to have a conversation with him. Now, I don't remember what I talked to him about, but barely a moment into saying anything, my DM told me to make a saving throw, which I rolled a 1 on. And that's the story of how I got mind-controlled by a dragon, disguised as a wizard. Party gets to the town, and it's around night. They decide they want to hit up the nearest brothel. They get to the bouncer, and he tells them it'll be 5 gold pieces to get in. The party ranger wanted to haggle. Ranger: I attempt to use animal handling on the bouncer. Me: okay, go ahead and roll for it. Ranger: 1. Me: you start milking the guard. He is not happy. Mini-boss of the dungeon coming up. Some minor foreshadowing had been occurring. Beware the Black Knight and his archer companion, yada yada. When we're at some random point in the dungeon, the cleric is the first to go through a door into blackness, and the blackness disappeared, and out steps the knight. He charges at the ranger, rolls a 1, throws his sword over the party. Then his buddy went. 1. Fired an arrow into the knight's back. I fire acid arrow at knight. 1. Acid arrow into ranger's legs. Ranger goes and does hellacious damage to the knight. Excellent word choice. Knight tries to shield bash, rolls a 1, provoking attack of opportunity from ranger, which kills him. My party decided to stealth into a wizard tower. We successfully got to the top without as little as a peep, but then we decided to go down to the basement. That was a bad decision. The rogue tried to stealth back down the stairs and rolled a 1, falling down the stairs. I attempted to catch him, but I ended up rolling a 1 as well, and thus we both tumbled down the stairs. The two of us fell from the top of the tower to the basement and right into several skeleton warriors who previously didn't know we were there. Needless to say, we barely escaped with our lives. We had a rogue half-elf woman in our party try to seduce a beefy male barkeep into giving us information. She rolled a 1. The barkeep responded, "I don't think my boyfriend would appreciate that." The party was level 3, and we were looking for the culprits who wrecked our camp for the night. My character, a wood elf fighter, tracks the culprits back to a goblin camp. We get there, and we roll stealth. I managed to get a nat 20 for stealth, but I get a nat 1 for perception. I try to sneak in, almost bump right into a guard, and walk away like it never happened. The best part? The guard also rolled a nat 1. I was DMing and someone jokingly rolled to laugh. I was serious when I said he would be sent to the underworld if he rolled a 1. He rolled a 1. Him and another player character were sucked into the underworld. The worst part was, they both left perfectly fine. They seduced a female demon, got her business card, and they both left with legendary coconuts that inspire allies in battle when clanked together. Roll investigation to observe the thing flying overhead. I rolled a 20. An ally rolled a 1. You can see the sheen of a dragon's wings and a frying pan rapidly approaching from player's direction. Here's something that happened last week. There is an old lady NPC the party really loves, and some bad guys who want to hurt her. The ranger was keeping an eye outside the old lady's house when he spotted an assassin on a rooftop. The rest of the party was asleep. Long story short, ranger magically called the rest of the party to wake them up. Some people misunderstood what was going on. Half the party went after the assassin, and the other half started pounding on the old lady's door. I rolled a 1 for her perception to wake up to the noise, so I told them there was no response, just silence in the house. This made the table silently panic, as the wizard broke a window to break into her house to try to find her. Naturally, I built the suspense. He walked through the silent house, found her bedroom, and a still form in the bed. He approached the form, tried to shake her awake, rolled her over, and she snored loudly in his face. Yeah, the party wanted to throw stuff at me. We were sneaking through a crypt. Naturally, the DM asks us all for stealth checks. I, being a rogue, was very confident. Nat 1. The DM gets up from his chair, walks over to the wall, and says, "So basically, you do this." Turns out the sorcerer also rolled a nat 1, and figuring the rogue knew what to do, did the exact same thing. We've called that the Kronk stealth moment, in honor of the Emperor's new groove ever since. Party of 7. I'm a monk. Everyone settled in around a campfire for the night. Most of my party fell asleep. I was keeping watch, so I climbed the tree next to the camp area. I rolled a natural 1 on balance while climbing out on a branch. I fell directly into the campfire below. Everyone woke up to me on fire and screaming in pain. Everyone thought we were under attack, and all attacked me at once. Probably one of my worst character deaths. My favorite Nat 1 story is we were going through a maze-like dungeon. Just for a bit of context, earlier in the session, the dwarf fighter had circumvented the maze by breaking down walls and going in a straight line. We had run into some creatures and taken a short rest, which is when we discovered that if you leave the dungeon alone long enough after damaging it, it will not only heal itself, but it will rearrange itself. So, with this knowledge, the players, a dwarf fighter, a half-drow, half-elf druid, and my character, a half-elf bard, had just entered a room, and my bard, after rolling perception, noticed 2 doors in the room. She chose to walk up to the door directly across from them and inspect it for traps. She got a nat 1. The DM flavored this by saying, "You're pretty sure this is actually just a wall now that you're looking at it." She announced this to the group so they wouldn't try and smash through the wall and cause the maze to reset itself. The dwarf fighter, who had also seen the doors, goes over to inspect the door himself, finds that it is actually a door, and then inspects it for traps. He passes, so he sees the trap is there, but then gets a nat 1 upon trying to figure out what it does, and thinks that it will release sunflowers upon triggering it. Eager to see some bright sunshine down in the dark dungeon, he goes to open it, but my character, who had been watching the fighter to make sure he doesn't beat down another wall, stops him. "You can't do that! It's a wall!" "It's a door." "It's a wall!" This goes on for a while before my bard says, "Fine, I will look again." So she does, and gets another nat 1. Now thoroughly convinced this is a wall, she stands guard in front of it and refuses to let them go that way, which works out, as it turns out the actual trap was a guillotine triggered by the door opening that quite possibly could have killed the fighter. This was my favorite time the DM assistant rolled a 1. We had a fight at level 1 with some mob in our starting town. and a guy who wanted to learn to play was getting to help control the guards that were coming, as the DM controlled the mobsters. Both us and the mob were losing to the guards, and I was cornered. No Eidolon, sent home earlier by damage, no spells, and no choice. As a halfling, I'm not exactly tall, so I kneeled and raised my hands up.
Just cuff me!
The guard, the learning guy, talks with the DM a bit and decides to rough me up. So he swings with his club hard and rolls a 1. He immediately describes, instead of saying he rolled a 1, he knew it auto-failed, that he swings true for a crit, as though he was aiming at the head of a 6-foot human. Then the guard just kinda looks down and shouts, "Stand still!" The table erupted into laughter. Hello, my sweet little bread puddings of universal bliss. Thank you for attuning your beautiful infinite brain power to this infinitely beautiful rabbit hole we call entertainment. If you're new here, please say hello in the comments. If you're a seasoned pro, tell Mr. Ripper and Brian to get their asses in gear and roll up their characters for the new campaign already. It's like herding fucking cats, dude. Holy shit. I already rolled out my character, and if you can guess the race and class, I will tell you my favorite joke for a change. If you like coffee, please check out our D&D friends over at Adventurers Coffee Company. That poop juice is the absolute truth, my darlings. Seriously, some of the finest coffee I've ever had. And if you appropriate yourself some beans using our coupon code Mr. Ripper, it helps the channel and helps our friends as well. Now, I really try to avoid preaching and speaking on politics with this channel, but if you are out there in the fray right now doing your part to make your voice and your plight heard, do not lose sight of your compassion. Please treat your fellow humans with respect and dignity, and be vigilant. There are provocateurs sneaking into these demonstrations to incite violence and rioting to distract from the message that is being broadcast in hopes of harming people like you. Be safe, be kind, be seen, be heard. Respond. And reach out to your friends who need your support right now. I support you, and I love you. And you know what? Rip Daddy and Brian love you and support you too. We love you so much. It would break our hearts if you were to be harmed during this period of civil unrest. Go out there and be the voice of reason, compassion, and change the world needs. Or don't. Stay home. I don't care. Just be safe and do you, boo-boo. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time. Much love.